This is Beyond with Heather Tesch, where we examine near-death experiences and life itself, hopefully making this life a little better. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad you're joining us today. Once again, Rev Bill McDonald is here with me. Hello, Bill.
It's always good to come back.
Oh, it's fabulous to have you. We've covered your first and second near-death experience. For folks listening, there will be links in the description to that, but this one also is a standalone, so you can just keep listening. This is your third near-death experience that we're going to talk about now.
And the reason that we broke them up is that they're each uniquely a different energy,
Yes.
even though they all involve the ultimate energy and light, love. But they're all so uniquely different. And this one I'm going to talk about, for some people, if they're locked in a belief box with their dogma and everything, they're going to go, okay, Reverend Bill was really out on this thing. I mean, it's really out there.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. But I want you to listen with your heart. And maybe my explanations of what happened, maybe I'm in another land someplace, another world. But this happened. I experienced it. And when you hear the whole story, at the end, it'll start to click and you go, well, whatever it was that happened, it happened. Now, why it happened and what did happen, that's the clue. So now, as that famous radio guy once said, and now here's the rest of the story, right? I don't know if you're old enough to remember that.
I remember that, yes.
Okay. So this happened not that long ago. Well, now it's 2023. This happened in 2011. So that's 12 years ago. I guess that's a while ago. In my grandkids' life, that's half their lifetime. Okay.
Right.
So I was in one of my trips to India, because I started making multiple trips. I was going to India and I was spending 2 or 3 weeks traveling, but most of the time I'd spend months at an ashram. So I was there 3 months, 4 months sometimes. And because I didn't want to travel around anymore, I just wanted to stay in one place and meditate and absorb the energy from the temple and from being in India. So I'm in Pune and at this guru's ashram, and he's asked me to go to the town there and introduce him and give talks with him, and which I was doing. And then we went to Mumbai, where I was introducing him to some very large audiences, several thousand people. And I was at the sunrise one where, I was working with him, and I had a heart attack. I was not on stage at this time. I was off stage. I was standing at the back of this crowd, and I collapsed. Nobody saw me collapse because everybody's focused on the guru and the lecture. I just kind of, and I'm like half hour laying on the floor with everybody standing. In India, I'm laying on the floor and everybody's just standing around. I'm there laying down there, like nobody does nothing. It's like, really? There I am dying, right?
They think you're just chilling.
They're just, I don't know. Maybe they thought I was overcome with spiritual something, So anyway, the thing gets through. Finally, the guru's wife, she sees me, she goes, you got to go to ER. Something's wrong. So I go to ER, and unlike the story I told about my second near-death experience, where the first question they asked me in America when I went to the hospital was, do you have insurance with us? First question they asked me at the ER in Mumbai was, what's wrong? How can we help you? Like, what? What? They don't ask how much money I got. Okay. So, and my heart procedure end up in America costed me close to $1 million for all the 2 or 3 I had done. Literally $1 million.
Wow.
And I went to ER there in India, and I was looking at the bill because I had some cash, but and they looked at it and they go, "We're sorry, we're charging you so much because you're a Western, you can afford to pay." I said, "Okay, $68."
Oh my goodness.
For ER. I said, "Okay, fine, I can do that." And then somebody goes, No, we'll pay for it." I said, "Okay." So I didn't have to pay nothing. So it was like, wow. Anyway, so I leave India. I'm really, really in bad shape. I mean, I had a major heart attack. And so I get on an airplane and they let me on an airplane. I even tell them I've had a heart attack. They wouldn't even give me a wheelchair in India. They put all these older women, meaning they're like 40 or 50, and I'm like, high up there. And these guys, all these rich women running around, being wheeled around through the airport in a wheelchair. I remember that. And I thought, I asked for a wheelchair. I showed them my stuff from the ER. I go, oh, you got a couple hours for a flight. You can walk it. I'm going, really? Anyway, long story. I get on the airplane. I go through customs in Germany, and then I get back on the airplane and I'm flying. I land in Denver, Colorado. I'm standing in line for processing through customs, and I collapse. They bring 2 paramedics in, firemen. They work with me for 6 hours, and they allow me to get back on an airplane to fly to Sacramento. I go, really? So, okay. So I'm going to Sacramento. I'm going to go see my heart doctor. Make sure you see your heart doctor. Well, of course, on the airplane, what's going to happen when you've had heart attacks? Now you're flying. And, yeah, of course, I have bubbles in my, blood clots in my lungs and everywhere else. I mean, it's going to happen, right? So I go see my doctor at Kaiser. He takes one look at me and he goes, get in a wheelchair, wheels me down to ER. That was it. Not even fooling around. I was in pre-op ICU 4 days just to make sure I was strong enough so they could give me a surgery. So I'm scheduled for quadruple bypass surgery. I didn't even know what the heck that was. I go, that doesn't sound too good. That looks like a lot of fun. So finally, I'm put in an ambulance. I'm taken to another hospital for the surgery. I get there the next morning. They take me in and they to the operating room, and I'm totally naked. I mean, and I'm a modest guy. I'm kind of, and they're laying me on this metal stainless steel operating table. They got the thinnest of sheets. I know, how do you measure a sheet's thickness? By how many threads it has or something? This thing is threadbare, and I mean, it's got nothing, right? I'm laying on there and I'm just chilled, right? And he goes, well, we got to keep it cold because we can't have mold and bacteria and stuff growing and, blood and all that stuff. I said, okay, I'm cold. I said, what are you going to do, doc? And he says, this is a bedside manner, right? He says, and he takes this instrument, says, I'm going to rip open your chest, and then I'm going to cut the ribs. And he takes out these, I don't know if it was my imagination or if I remember, somebody watches this, they can tell me, but I thought they looked like lopers that like you cut tree limbs with, like clunk, clunk, when you're doing bushes and stuff. It looked like those, like he's going to cut my ribs. And I thought at the time, no, that must have been my imagination, but that's what it looked like to me. And then he showed me this thing, and then I'll put this chest expander, this metal thing, and it holds your chest open. He says, I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut your arteries. I'm going to hook you up to this blood lung machine, heart lung machine. It's going to pump oxygen into your blood, and then it's going to go in, and then we're going to stop your heart, and then stop your lungs. Your lungs won't be breathing. You won't be doing nothing, and your heart won't be pumping, and then we can cut. And I said, wait a minute, you're going to stop my heart, and I'm not breathing. He goes, yeah. He says, you're dead. We kind of kill you first. That's what he's saying, right? Just like joking. And I'm going, I'm not laughing, right? I'm going, all right, so you say I'm dead. He says, it's okay. As long as we got electricity, we're okay. And then I kind of get that look. He said, don't worry about it. It doesn't happen often. So then he goes, this guy's a real card. I'm going, wow, man, this guy's really funny. And then I go, well, I'm going to feel anything. He says, well, actually, he says about 5% of the people that we operate on when they're on this heart lung machine, because we have to cut back on the amount of anesthesia because you can't have a lot of anesthesia because it's too dangerous. You may not wake up. He says, 5% of the people come back and said they felt something. So that was the last I knew before. He says, count backwards from 99, and I get to about 97 or 96, and I'm gone. It's total blackness. Now, here's where it gets crazy. And when I say crazy from a life of weird experiences, this is really out there. Most people have a near-death experience. They have an out-of-body thing. They're floating around like they're an astral body, or they're someplace else detached, and they're this etheric rainbow light ether type person. They're angelic or something, but they're kind of floating around someplace. No, as soon as it's total darkness on the operating table, boom, bang, I'm out of that body on the table. And I am standing in the hot, sweaty sun of southern India in front of a Shiva temple. And I'm looking around. And the only first thought comes to my mind is, I was naked on that table. Do I have any clothes on? That's my only thought. Do I have any clothes on? It's like, oh, I was dressed. So it was a modest. I thank God I was modest. God takes care of me. But I could feel the heat from the sun, people bumping into me. I could feel their breaths. I could feel everything going on. I mean, I'm not there in any kind of esoteric light body at all. I'm there in a physical body. Apparently, my own body, but I got another physical body that's getting operated on, and I'm in this other body wandering around India. Now, the year before in 2010, I was sent to get what they call a naughty palm leaf reading done. And I didn't know what it was. I thought, got a naughty palm, they're going to read your palm or something. I had no clue what it was. What is this reading, fortune telling? What is this crap? I didn't believe any of that stuff, right? But I was sent to go get it done. And in this reading, they predicted several things. And one of the things they predicted was the following year, 2011, the year I was in then, that when I was in India, I would travel to that particular temple that I was at in southern India, and I would recognize it. And when I got there, my job was to find the hill, find the trail that went up the hill, the road, the trail, whatever the pathway, and walk up 2 to 4 hours. And waiting for me on the top of that hill would be all the rishis. I think it's 18, 19, if you call, the main guy.
And what's a rishi?
Rishis, these ancient seers, ancient holy people that, among other things, they sat down 2,500 to 5,000 years ago and channeled people coming in the future and wrote about them and gave them advice and then wrote it on a palm leaf, thus palm leaf reading.
Okay.
And they preserved it. And when this person needed that at some future life, when they came back, they would come to India or find it somehow, and that leaf would be pulled out and they'd be given this advice.
Okay.
And I didn't, I go, what is this? Anyway, we'll talk about that because that's just it's a subject that's just mind blowing because it was so on point. But at the time I got the reading, it was like, okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to go next year. I'm going to go, this big deal. I'm going to meet all these rishis on top of the hill. It makes a good story. I get to meet all these great rishis, all right. And I will sit down with them around a sacred fire. They're on rocks and logs and stuff. And I will not ask any questions because I'll have no questions to ask because everything I will know. And I thought, boy, what a great story for an egomaniac to tell. I mean, this is crazy. Who knows all the answers to everything, right? It was like, come on. Anyway, so that was the prediction I was given. And this was going to be a monumental thing happening in my life. So there I am in a new body, a different body.
During your operation.
During the operation, looking at the mountain, the hill, not really a mountain, but just kind of hills. And I see this pathway and I go, this operation is going to be about 8 hours long. Let's go for a walk. I got nothing else better to do, right? So I started walking up this hill and I'm bumping into people and stuff. And every once in a while, I kind of feel like there's hands in my chest or something. Just things happening, I could feel that. So I go up the mountain. I don't know. Again, we talked about this. I talked about before. Time. There's no time. So 2 to 4 hours. Who knows? There I am. I'm on the top of this hill. And when I get there, there's this clearing, some trees. There's some rocks. There's a little fire, sacred fire. There's all these rishis. These rishis look kind of like Jamaican singers. They all got that weird, crazy braids and hair and crazy beards and, like all that kind of stuff, right? So I just walk over and sit down with them. And I don't have a single question like, what am I doing here? How did I get here? Nothing. I just sit there. And then I noticed there's one other guy. The guru that sent me to get my reading He is there. Bill, don't give up heart. You can skip a few beats, but don't give up heart. And he keeps telling me that, right? And I'm going, what? What's going on here? And I'm just enjoying the bliss of this. And then, again, my clouds, right? Kind of like a cloudy sky, light, and I'm looking at the horizon, right? And I hear this voice. So it says, Bill, you don't owe anybody anything. You've paid your dues. You've done everything you're supposed to do. There's nothing on the list you're required to do. You can just stop breathing. Let it go. Skip a beat. Let it go. I promise you peace, love, beyond anything you've ever experienced. Joy, bliss, no pain. And I'm going, sign me up, man. That sounds good, right? I'm going, yeah, okay, that sounds good. And then the guru guy standing there, Bill, skip a few beats, but don't give up heart. You got to hang around. I go, wait a minute. She just promised me peace, love, bliss, tranquility, all these beautiful things and love, and I don't owe anybody anything. And I go, what do you promise me? He goes, more pain than you ever had in your entire life. More suffering than you ever had in your entire life. I go, what kind of sales pitch is that? I said, you make a terrible salesman. That's not moving me. I go, why would I want to take that? And then he says, because of them. And he points to the clouds. And all of a sudden in the clouds, there's these parade, a panorama from as far as I could see any direction, up and down, sideways, just faces. Thousands, thousands, thousands of faces, thousands. Men, women, children, blacks, whites, Asians, every culture, everything. Once in a while, a dog or a cat or another animal, a bird, weird stuff, right? But it was mostly people, but once in a while, some animals. And all that stuff, it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And he goes, because if you don't come back, the gift that you could have gave them, whatever it may have been, they won't get it. You don't owe it to them. They don't necessarily expect it. But they won't get it. But it's going to be very painful for you. You got to go back and experience pain. Because up till then, every time I had pain, I'd use these yoga techniques. Pain would go away, boom, done deal. And he'd go, no more magic. Now every time you have pain, you will feel the pain at a greater level that you ever felt before, like a regular person. And you will have to teach yourself a new method to overcome pain. And when you teach yourself that, then you go out and teach others how to handle their pain. Because if you just go to them and go, hey, pain just goes away, that doesn't help anybody. You got to teach them to overcome their pain. And I'm still going, yeah, but she's promised me bliss. You're promising me pain. Come on. And then all of a sudden it's like, I feel something in my chest, and all of a sudden there's this, they're doing this on the operating table, obviously. They're restarting my heart. And I go, boom, boom. And next thing I know, I'm laying on the operating table. Not only am I cold, but I'm in god-awful pain that I've never had so much pain in my life. And the first words I hear is from the anesthesiologist telling the doctor, hey, doc, he says, I think the patient is no longer anesthesiated, whatever the word is.
Anesthetized?
Yeah, anesthetized. I think he's awake. I think he's feeling everything. And the doctor goes, come on, don't worry about it. It's only another 45 minutes. I'll be done. And I got a tube down my throat, got my eyes taped shut. I'm strapped down. And inside I'm going, hey, I feel everything. Hey, doc, wait for me, right? And I'm thinking, 45 minutes. Now, I talked about before when you're on the other side, pain, days and minutes and hours, just, you can't tell, right? On the operating table, every minute and second, I could tell that was a minute. That's a minute. That's another minute. My God, are we ever going to make 10 minutes? It was for 45 minutes was forever. Forever. And then I feel them, wiring the rib cage back together and then stapling, the chest and sewing up holes. I'm feeling it all, and I can't say nothing, right? So hours after surgery, they finally take a tube out and everything. And I actually got some ice cubes in my mouth, chips of ice that wouldn't give me anything to drink. And I couldn't tell anybody anything because, my throat was really ragged, but it was like I wanted to say, hey, you guys hurt me. Come on. Anyway, so normally when you have heart surgery in America under health insurance plans, they allow you 4 days for surgery. You're out. You're in. I was there 4 days before I even started. I was there almost a month. 5 blood transfusions. And every day something was going wrong. It was getting worse every day. And finally, I was going to go downstairs at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. They were going to wheel me down for emergency procedure. And the phone rings, landline at the hospital bed, right? And I said, I got to answer that. And they go, no, we got it. And I said, no, I got it. I insisted. So I get the phone and I hear this voice, Bill, this is Gornoff in India. And I go, yeah, I know a lot of Gornoffs. I'm glad you narrowed it down, right? And he goes, here's what he said next. He says, you can skip a few beats, but don't give up heart. And I go, what? What'd you say? He says, you can skip a few beats, but don't give up heart. And I'm just like, he says, no. And then he goes, that hasn't impressed me yet. I mean, in his mind, he hasn't moved me. So then he goes, Bill, I just sent 100 people here up to the ashram's temple to pray for you. And I promised them I was going to heal you. Don't embarrass me. In other words, don't die. You'd embarrass him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go, what? What? So anyway, so at that point, I got to get out of here. Sheer willpower, right? All right. So now there was another prediction made. There was another one that fits in with the story. It kind of fitting into it all. Like, was everything that happened real? I was told that at some point in that same year, that Babaji or Lord Shiva, but Babaji probably, this great being would come to me and anoint me with oil and water and bless me. And it'd be like the stuff is falling out of the sky or something. I thought, what a stupid prediction. I was thinking it was metaphorical or something. Okay, great. So I'm laying in the hospital and I look up and my bed is like, take a clear glass bowl, put a hamster in, the hamster looks around, and that's how his world would look. He's looking through that glass. It was like I'm looking through this dome of energy. It's energy. It's just a dome of energy. I can't see anything outside of that dome. But at the end of my bed stands Babaji. No shirt, long black hair, youthful look, shiny skin, no shoes. But in my world, being a Westerner, Babaji's got Levi's on. He's got jeans on. So, but he's got no shirt on. And he's standing at the end of the bed. That's like 7 feet away. But his hand is coming over the top of me, blessing me and pouring oil and water. And he's chanting some mystical stuff. I had no clue what it was, but I was feeling so blissful, so much love. I'm thinking, well, you know what? People are going to say this was crazy. They're going to say it was drugs. They're going to say it was delusional. I don't care. This is the most blissful I've felt in a long time, and I feel blissful a lot. But this is really, really good. I'm going to savor it. Nobody will ever believe me. I'm not going to ever tell anybody. That's it, right? So it finally ends. I get home from the hospital. My adult daughter comes over to visit me and says, hey, our old neighbor Dave went to visit you. I go, no, he didn't. Oh, yeah, he told me he went to visit. I said, no, he didn't. He says, yeah, he went the day before you got out of the hospital. He walked into the room and he saw some crazy young Indian guy with no shirt, no shoes on, with long black hair, pouring stuff on the top of your hair, chanting this crazy stuff. And he said he started to laugh because he thought it was funny and crazy. And he got embarrassed, so he left, didn't want to embarrass me. And then I told my daughter, and she goes, oh my gosh, he saw what was happening. I said, yes. So there was no suggestions to the guy. He doesn't believe in any of this stuff. And yet that's what he saw. So then I decided, well, you know what? It got verified. I will tell the story. So that was the third near-death experience. And what I took away from that was, even though things in your life seem predestined, I think they're predestined by your previous actions. your previous desires, your karma. If those that believe in karma, those that don't, you can say it's all random. I don't live in a world of randomness. I do believe I control my fate, even though it doesn't look like it at times. So, but I know I was loved. And having that little shot at the end, I was loved. And now when I go out and I do groups literally all around the world, Germany and India and England and wherever I go, doing workshops. And what's interesting, I do workshops, I don't charge a penny. I do them for free. I rent the building, I pay for all, I get there, I do it for free. So far, God has helped me out. It's kind of nice people help out, but not required. So as I go out there, I'll tell you why I do it for free. Because I'm looking at all those seas of faces in the audience, and I'm finding them all. All of them. So these people come into my life now, and I go, do I dare tell them? They wouldn't believe it. I don't know. But right now, I'm not meeting any strangers anymore. So I'm going to be 78 my next birthday in March. And I figure of course, this latest prediction says I'm supposed to live till 89. So that's what, 12 years. I'm going to use that time to find those people and give them what they need. Not necessarily what they want, but what the universe thinks they need. Some cases, it's just me listening, giving understanding, listen to their stuff. Sometimes it's teaching them something. Sometimes it's helping them deal with their pain. And we're not talking just physical pain. We're talking spiritual and mental. Spiritual is the worst. So come to my workshops, watch my videos, realize that I'm here for you. And if everybody has the same attitude, they're here for everybody else. This is one big family. We're all going to get along. Thank you once again for allowing me to tell my story.
Well, Bill, I think a lot of those people you saw are probably listening to us right now. So I really appreciate you coming here. It's been so fascinating learning about your near-death experiences. In the future, I want to have you back because I still have so many questions. You've had so many amazing experiences. So we will touch base again. In the meantime, tell folks where they can get information, such as your website, if they want to go to one of these seminars, and then also tell us about your books.
First off, this is my second edition of my autobiography. The first one, I had some stories in there, and I was afraid to really tell. And I go, you know what? Nah, let's tell it. So I have some stuff in here that takes you from an alien abduction, first chapter. What, an alien abduction? A couple of stories about aliens. And me and my sisters had the same exact experience with missing time and everything. So at the time, I thought I'll never tell anybody that because everybody thinks you're wacko. But when I talk to my sisters, they're going, yes, remember, but they don't want to talk about it. It happened in 1950. We didn't want to talk about it until 2004 or something. Anyway, this book takes off where I end. I end the first book, my autobiography, in Machu Picchu, recovering from actually recovering at the moment as I'm writing it, a heart attack. And I write my epitaph. I said, if it ends now, here's my epitaph. And so that's how I end that book. This book starts when all that's over, the next 10 years, with multiple trips to the Himalayas, meeting holy men, saints, sages, visiting sacred caves, temples, miracles, two-body experiences, out-of-body experiences, rainbow body experiences, all kinds of things. This book, if you're into the heavy mystical, then this is the book you go. I'm working on a new book coming out in 2025 or 2024, hopefully, called I Still Remember Tomorrow, which will be more stories, but leading you someplace. So hopefully people, if they want to find me on my YouTube channel, Rev Bill McDonald, just like it says on the screen here, Rev Bill McDonald, you will find I have a YouTube channel, and it has about 160 some videos on there. I think about 12 of them are other people. The rest are all me. And then I have a website, www.revbillmcdonald.com. And If you want to find me on Facebook, it's Rev Bill McDonald. Geez, that's easy. Just got to remember Rev Bill McDonald. I'm such an egomaniac. I couldn't name something else. Anyway, it's easier for me to remember my age. Anyway, so people write me. If they write me, I always, even if it takes a couple of days, I always answer every single email. And I get thousands a month, thousands. Sometimes I answer by, my prayer list and there's a couple of words. Sometimes it's detailed if I feel they need it. Sometimes if they're really hurting, I will send them my number. But so I am here. I get up at 2:30 in the morning, and I work with people in Australia, New Zealand, and Malaysia, Singapore. And then a couple hours later, I work with Indian people from India, and then I work with the Germans, and then I finally get to the East Coast, and then later on in the day, I start working with California. But I stop at 5:00. Just me and my wife. That's it. Me and my wife been married coming up on 54 years coming up, I think. I keep her around. It's too hard to break in a new woman. So what can I say?
Well, Bill, it has been so fascinating talking to you today. And by the way, like you, I do respond to comments. And Bill and I would both love to hear some of your comments and your thoughts regarding our discussion. It's been so fascinating. Bill, right before we go, do you have any parting words for people that are listening?
Love is not just about yourself, but it is all about yourself. That's what people don't understand, because to me, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. And if you understand who you really are, that the divine dwells in you, that you and God are one, and there's nobody outside of you. Everybody is that one. So when you love the one, you love God, you love yourself, you love your enemy, you love your neighbor, you love them all as yourself. So I always tell people, love yourself. You want to change the world? Love you. Change you. It'll change everything else. Hate, revenge, unforgiveness, that's what keeps wars going. That's the trouble in the Middle East right now. It's trouble with Russia and Ukraine. Everybody remembers the old fights. 20 years from now, they'll remember these fights. At some point, you just got to go, that was yesterday. Move on. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So the only thing that matters is love. I say that again. It's like a broken record. It's all about, there is nothing else. It's all love.
Well, thank you, Reverend Bill. I have loved having you here today. I so appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and all of our listeners.
God bless.
Thanks for joining me on Beyond with Heather Tesch. Please add comments and questions you'd like future guests to answer. Also, if you liked what you heard, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. That'll help keep this podcast going. You can also go to BEYONDwithHeatherTesch to look for more episodes.